Hey everybody, welcome to the introductory episode of Spotlight with Sandalina, and I'm your talk show host, Sandalina Sattar. Together, we will take a deep dive into the vulnerable journeys of South Asians and Muslim creators. A little bit about me. So, I'm 23 years old, I live in New York City, I work as an investment banking analyst, I am a TikTok content creator, and the founding event host for Wholesome Hangouts New York City. I'm Pakistani and Muslim, and was born and raised in the Bay Area, California. More specifically, Cupertino, so go Apple, I guess. I went to Foothill Community College, then I transferred out to UC Berkeley, where I graduated from the Haas School of Business last year. Right after graduation, I packed up my bags and made the cross-country move to the big city for the big finance job. I've been here for a bit over a year now, and I figured it was the perfect time to start this talk show. Now, you might be wondering, why now? 2023 is arguably one of the worst times to start one of these things because of how saturated the space is. And it's no surprise. There's actually almost 3 million podcasts out there. So thank you for listening to this one today. You had millions to pick from, so thanks. But I do think that within the podcast talk show space, there's a wide space for South Asians. And to get more granular, I think there's a massive undoubtable white space for Muslims within that. And I want to try to help bridge that gap and shine light on these stories. And I know it's cheesy, but I think it's important to be the representation that you wish you had growing up. I think it's also important to understand the genesis of the show and why this is all here. When I moved to New York City last year, I can say confidently that my worldview was absolutely shattered. And I mean that in the best way possible. And I think that's common in our generation. We were all raised by our immigrant parents who had to put in their blood, sweat, and tears into making it an American, pursuing their American dream. And while they deserve the utmost praise and respect for that, I think it's also important to acknowledge that the survivor mindset that they hold oftentimes limits the paths that we have laid out in front of us. It's very common for a lot of us to be told at young ages that there's a handful of career paths that we can pick that happen to be very linear, and if we don't do that, we're doomed. What really surprised me was I found myself in the midst of the South Asian creator space in New York City. And I came across so many individuals that deviated from this handful of predetermined paths, and they're doing just fine. They have roofs over their head. I think that's a common misconception. We're led to believe that if you pursue something creative, you're not going to be able to sustain yourself financially, but that couldn't be farthest from the truth. Sure, a lot of these creators aren't living in multi-million-dollar mansions at this stage in their careers, but who said that that was a metric for success? Who said that that's what we need to be happy? And these are the questions I started asking myself when I started my journey of self-discovery in this city. What I realized is it's important for our generation to carve out our own rendition of the American dream. And it will be different than our parents' vision of the American dream for us, and that's okay. And I think those differences should actually be celebrated. It's a sign of evolution of thought across generations, and it's a beautiful, lovely thing. Another layer I think to consider in all of this is the role that social media plays in our perception of those that pursue creative ventures and those that don't. Interestingly enough, upon moving to New York City, I was able to form organic bonds and connections with some of the people that I would see on my social media feeds and get to know who they are holistically outside of the one-dimensional flattened perception that we get of them through social media. What I learned is a lot of these individuals have incredibly powerful journeys that the world just doesn't know about. And I think together we can peel away the layers on that journey and understand who these people are from a 360 view and realize that we're actually more similar than different. Long story short, this ecosystem single-handedly changed my life. And I know that there are South Asians and Muslims, boys and girls, watching this back home that don't know of a life beyond the traditional roles. But I want you to know that there are people that look like you, that talk like you, that were raised in households with the same family dynamics as yours, believe it or not, that make it out and do just fine pursuing non-traditional paths in life. If this show inspires even one person at home to think outside the box, then all of this would have been worth it. So please come along with me on this journey. Thank you so much for your time. Tune in next Sunday for the first full-length episode, and if you stick around, you may see some familiar faces. I'm your host, signing off.